Yo.
What up? What up?
Ooh, half a bottle later. What up, though?
No, man, we opened that one last week.
You right. Oh, yeah, this is. You right. You right.
I think.
I'm so confused. It's only Tuesday, bro. I feel like it's the longest week ever, and it's only Tuesday for me, man.
I know, man. And we've been going lately. We've been late a few weeks. We had the holiday. I had, stressed out at work shit, and we've been going a day later or 2 days later. So, yeah, man, it's actually a short week, but it feels long.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't know.
Yeah,
it
doesn't
feels
matter.
Weird, man. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Carbon Footprint Podcast, episode 125. He is Juan, and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit them with the deliciousness of the day.
Oof, this is good. It took us a lot of experimenting, bro. We was in this bitch like Oppenheimer. Just throwing shit together, hoping for an explosion.
Finish the drink, you'd be like, nope, that ain't it.
Yeah. We was wilding, bro. But what started off as one thing is completely shifted. We call it raspberry water. Man, now I gotta remember. Okay, so we did 2 shots of tequila. We did the Dobel Diamante tequila. It's pretty good. It's not as smooth as some of the stuff we've had on here, obviously, but it's a good mix.
It's a good mixer, yeah.
Tequila, it's okay, I think, to sip too, but yeah, it's pretty good. So Dobel Diamante. So we did 2 shots of that. We did half a shot of the Cachis de Creme, which is the raspberry liqueur from Baron. Baron de Castarac. Why do I keep calling it Cachis de Creme?
I don't know.
That's the other one we had, those pomegranate, I think, or something.
I don't know. You mentioned that earlier, and I was like, damn, that must be the small print.
That was the tequila talk. Ignore me. So 2 shots of the tequila, half a shot of the Baron de Castarac, which is the raspberry liqueur. We did half a shot of agave simple syrup. And then we a whole lime. We squeezed in a whole lime.
Yes, we did.
You can also muddle the lime, which we found makes it taste way better if you just muddle the lime at the bottom of the glass and build it in the glass. Muddle the lime
with
first,
the agave.
With the agave.
Yep.
And then add the tequila, the Baron de Castarac, and then fill it up with ice, and then top off with Topo Chico, which is mineral water. And which
sparkling mineral water.
Yeah, there's very little Topo Chico in this.
Yep. Topo Chico is it's optional.
Yo, the original recipe called for I think somewhere between 6 to 8 ounces. We got a splash in this bitch at best.
It's a topper.
So let me restate that again, all over the place. So take a glass, throw in 2 halves of limes, pour in the half a shot of agave, muddle all that together, pour in the half of ounce of the Baron de Castarac, pour in 2 shots of the tequila, and then put in the ice, stir it, top off with Topo Chico, stir it a little bit again. You can garnish with a lime. You don't have to if you build it with the limes at the bottom, and then enjoy it. It tastes amazing.
Yeah, it's just good.
Oh, so
good. Could you sub the Topo Chico with club soda?
You could.
Probably could,
yeah,
right?
You probably could, or any other mineral water, really.
Okay.
But yeah, I think
like
club
a
soda.
Perrier or some shit.
Yeah, you definitely could. So you try it. We did the Topo Chico.
Yeah, man.
The splash tastes all right.
We went a little Hispanic on that.
Yeah, we sure did, man, because I wanted to keep with the Mexican roots of the. Let me see what Topo Chico from. They're probably Mexican too. I don't know what's up. Yeah, Monterrey, Mexico.
There you go.
It is. I thought it was. Yeah. So we keeping with the same ingredients. We're supporting the same region of the world.
Absolutely.
Except for our raspberry liqueur is probably French or some shit. Let me see. Product of France. Yep.
All right, bet, man. On that, let me hit you up with my carbon footprint of the week. It is going out to OpenAI as a company.
Okay.
They have developed this thing called ChatGPT. Take note, people.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is essentially you're chatting. It's sort of like an ability to chat with an artificial intelligent computer, essentially.
That's smarter than you.
Yeah. And you can ask it to do stuff like write paragraphs, write whole essays, fix your computer code. And the list goes on.
And it does it almost seamlessly,
It
man.
does it. No. This thing, it starts typing. So after you ask the question, it starts typing in real time in front of you.
It's nuts, man.
And so I was just playing around with it. I didn't do anything crazy, but like, I asked it like, give me a paragraph on the history of Kissimmee, or give me a paragraph on the history of the U.S. And it gave a very good paragraph on the history of each of those in a matter of maybe 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds.
And it's not plagiarized. It's like an original paragraph.
I guess. I mean, like, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's taken from somewhere.
What do you have to do? You have to write a paper now.
Well, that's it. But what is that shit? Remember, and I know I use it in college. It was like you had to submit it through something.
Yeah, and they check how many words of it match other sources on the internet. That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
I'm wondering if this is pulling from the internet, but is it multiple sources? And that the tool, Dan, I wish I could remember what we're talking about, but what it's called. But what it would do is you couldn't have over a certain percentage, and it would tell you have X% from this and X% from this, and you just have to make sure you keep it on the 10% overall. Right. But yeah, this is
dude.
crazy.
So this thing was nuts, man. And I was for me, I'm going, like, I have 3 sons, as you know, and one of them is just like doesn't think school is valuable at all, and kind of like tries to get around doing work for school. And I'm going, with this tool to have to write papers and shit, I'm like, it literally wrote it. It could write it for you. I saw a couple videos on this thing, and it was like there were even coders that you could put in the code and go, what's wrong with my code?
And it would tell you.
And it told them, and then give you an explanation of why.
And you can also tell it to give you photos, right? Like, this is the thing where you do a photo with me as a lemur, and it will. No. It's a different one.
So
right?
OpenAI does something like that. Okay. I forget what it's called, but
you
yes,
can create original art just telling it what you want.
Yeah,
you like, give me a picture of a lion with wings, and it'll literally just make a photo of a lion.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw one that was like, show me an astronaut on horseback.
Yeah, and it just
makes it.
It's crazy, man.
So this shit, man, and I was looking at this. So really quick, it was released on November 30th. In the first 5 days, over 1 million people signed up, because you got to sign up for it. I don't know. I downloaded an app that didn't work, but then if I just went to the OpenAI website and then kind of went in that way and signed in with Google, then it worked. What was the other thing? Their mission statement, OpenAI mission statement, is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. Now, what I got to thinking on this was like, kind of like the internet, right? If you have all of the answers at your fingertips, A, what is your incentive to learn anything? And then B, don't the things that you learn affect the decisions you make over your life? And then so maybe without that knowledge, you are making different decisions. And then with this, are you essentially, like, as this advances, are you asking this thing more like, hey, what should I do in the case of X or Y or Z? And then you have almost like the AI kind of run your life. Again, I was kind of going on a rabbit hole with this whole like idea
it's
of
a
just
great question. Yeah,
of just like, how far does this go? Where you go, like, I don't really feel like fucking dressing myself today, right? Like, what should I wear? Or what's a good combination of colors to wear? And it's like, I picked up fucking blue pants and a salmon shirt and
like,
some
what's
black
the
shoes,
balance
right?
between convenience and lazy, and also,
right.
And then what are the unintended consequences of that, right? Because we live in a society now where there's unintended consequences of convenience, and access to information, and all, like, I don't know, like, people would say that because of phones, people are less social, and some people would argue you're more social, and so what are the unintended consequences? That's a good. I hadn't even thought of that, man. Like, do you have a dumber society because it's like dumber but smarter, because the answer to everything is at their fingertips, but they just don't know it off the top of their head, and so their decision making
it's reliant
impacted because it's reliant on this AI.
Right.
And then maybe this is what people mean when they're saying, no, the AI is going to take over the world, like it's going to overtake humans because we're going to let it.
Because we'll let it.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to be innately, like you can apply this to everything in life, right? Like the more convenient you make something, the worse we get at it, right? Like we're worse at, like there's certain things for manual labor we suck at now because machines do it.
Yep.
And so there isn't that craftsmanship behind
and
it.
And they do it so much better.
They do. They're like,
and they're way more efficient.
It's so funny. My daughter asked me this question in the car the other morning. We were driving to school, and she goes, humans are the only things. She's like, hey, and I'm sure she saw it on like a meme or some YouTube short or whatever, but she's like, yeah, like humans are incapable of being precise, but they can build things that are. And I was like, huh. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, it's interesting.
Good,
yeah, it's pretty good. Like, she's like, and I asked her, I'm like, so do you think we ever will be, or do you think, because inevitably we're gonna have like Neuralinks, or we're gonna have bionic limbs, or we're gonna have I'm like, so then precision does increase with these things that are sort of like artificial. She's like, do you think we're gonna have like chips in our brains? Like, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's inevitable. She's happen, like, bro. Then yeah. And it was a fascinating conversation at like 9 a.m. You're just like driving to school, and I'm just like, it's kind of heavy for like
with your 13-year-old.
With the 13-year-old, who's just like asking me all these things, and I'm like, wow, I hadn't really thought about that. And she's like, yeah, we're like, we build these things that are super precise, but we're like incapable of like doing what those machines do, but we can make them. It's weird. And I'm like, it is weird. I never thought about that. It's like,
yeah, that's true.
It's so strange, man. I was like, I never thought about it from that perspective.
But I think that also with humans, like we see a lot of the gray area, right? Everything is not black and white, and we see a lot of the gray area. And a lot of decisions that we make are based on not only our knowledge but our experiences and our feelings about certain things. And so we may choose to maybe not, I don't know, do the precise thing because we're going, you know what, that might hurt somebody's feelings, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit less. So, I'm going to go a little bit left, or I'm going to go a little bit right, instead of going straight down the middle.
Yeah. It's funny, man, because I like, when I had the Tesla, and you did the autopilot thing, and I remember like just sitting there staring at it sometimes going like, this is crazy, like it's driving me.
Yeah, it's dope.
And then there's times where it would move out of the way, and like, like in relation to this, it's like I was a significantly worse driver when I stopped driving the Tesla, because
really?
I became so reliant on the convenience of it.
Wow. And you only had it for what, 6 months, 8 months?
I was horrible for like a month. And I'll tell you why. It was, and I know this is bad, I could text while I was driving because the car was going to save me. The car would break if something came across, whether it was a person, a car, an animal, whatever. The car would stop. Right. The car would change lanes. The car would, like, it was, I literally didn't have to pay attention as long as, and even so there's a subscription, right, that Tesla makes you pay to do the full autonomous driving. Yep. But even its version of like cruise control is good enough to where it does everything for you. And so, bro, I literally at red lights, I could be doing anything and the screen would tell me that the light turned green. Like, and it would ping me to go, hey, bro, you need to go. And if I had it on full self-driving mode in some areas, because it was still in beta, it would just start driving. So like when I got a car that didn't have that, I was horrible because I became so reliant on it'll change lanes for me. Oh, I don't have to look up. Oh, I don't have to like brake. Oh, I don't like. I relied on it. Like literally, I could be distracted. It'll stop or it'll beep. At least it'll give me a warning before, and I know to stop.
Did you find that you were still like texting in the new car?
Because I was so used to it. Wow, yeah, absolutely, man. I was texting all the time. It's stupid. It's an asinine thing to do, 100%. But it was like I caught myself going, oh fuck, I don't have that anymore.
Right.
And I had to learn that a few times where I'm like, oh shit, and I'm slamming my brakes, and I'm like,
I never considered that
because the car that I have now warns me, but it doesn't stop, right? Like, and in some ways, when you're rolling, the warning is too late if you're going 40, but like the Tesla would like literally just start slowing down way before you needed the thing, and then the Tesla would literally, if something crossed your path, it would like avoid accidents. It would literally move itself out of the way. Now there were moments where I went, okay, I could see how this causes accident because it relied a lot on lines on the street, right? So if you got to places where the street like merged or it opened up, let's say like you were coming onto a highway and suddenly it opened up to 3 lanes, it didn't know which one to go to. Okay. And so sometimes it would literally pull really hard to the right because it was trying to find the a lane with 2 lanes really quickly. Like it didn't know. So they needed to work that out, but you're like, they'll figure that out at some point. And so those are moments. But even when it did it, if a car came, it would be like, oh shit, there's a car there, and it would just veer you back. Like, so those are the accidents that I think could happen. And it's funny because people always call out the accidents that happen with Tesla, the full self-driving and all that. Of course, but I go, but how many humans cause accidents that day? Like the one that the Tesla caused made the news, but there was 1 million humans out on the road that day, 1,000 of them crashed. Like so. Of course, it makes the news, but I because of the convenience that offered me, it made me a dumber driver. Absolutely.
That's crazy.
It made me a worse driver.
But you could argue that it made you more productive in other areas.
Absolutely, because what I felt like, and I would tell people all the time, was I felt like the people who live in like say New York, where you can get on a subway and you can read a book and you can answer emails and you can do all this stuff. Now, it's a shitty way to spend your time if you're doing work or whatever, but I was more productive because I was doing everything else but the driving in some cases, like, or at least I could sort of relax. Or if I was tired, it's like, like, again, the car was going to save me from me. And so it was really convenient. But what happened was when I wasn't driving that car, I sucked, dude. Like, I was horrible. I was awful, man. And sometimes I got lucky that I didn't crash. Because then I became very self-aware of the fact that, like, yo, I'm really reliant right now on the convenience that came with the Tesla. Like, I was horrible, man. Like, and now I'm almost the total opposite. Like, I don't have any of those conveniences in my current car, so I've sort of gotten better at it. But I was horrible for like a month, man. It took me a while to get used to it.
You need to go back to a car with like stick shift and roll down windows.
Keep you locked in. Yeah. They even make those anymore?
Dude, but so what I did look at was like some history, and I if you go back in history, everything that things like books, there was a point in history when they were mass producing books, and they were like, oh, this is taking people's attention and it's making them whether they're not working as much or what have you. And then it was the radio. And the same thing, they were like, oh, people are hooked to this radio thing, and it's taking all of their attention. And then there was television, and then there was the internet, and then now AI is coming on, and it's like, we are, I think as a species, there's definitely something about us that we like things that take our attention.
Yeah.
And then with this, man, I'm just going like, I don't know where it goes, but I do go, this is like the genie that's not going back in the bottle. And so it's going to be like adapt or die.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, adapt or die. Because the thing is that, like, going back to what you were saying before, it's like, are we going to be dumber? Sure, everyone is, though. And so then, like...
And we're dumb, we'll be dumber in some spaces.
Correct.
But perhaps better in others.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll be, like, are we better decision makers because we're relying on that and not on ourselves? And then, but like you said, then there's that gray area where you need that intervention of a human being to, to sort of step in. Inevitably, man, I think AI just gets smarter than we are. I think there's so much data, right, that AI is going to have to sort of like absorb. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is initially we're going to, same thing we're talking about with the Tesla, we're going to highlight the bad parts, the bad things that happen, the mistakes. But if you measure those against the human element, it's going to be like, 1 for 50, 1 out of 50, like for every human error, or for every 50, you're going to have 1 that the AI is going to do or something like that, because it's just a collation of everything, right? Yeah. Like, we only know as much as we can absorb and what our experiences are. This AI is going to know what everybody's experiences are globally, like in every aspect, in every socioeconomic situation, and every cultural situation, and every, like, it's just going to have so much information that inevitably, over time, it's going to get better than we are. Like, this is no way around it. Like, it just
no doubt. But you are always going to have to, or hopefully you would look at those things whether it's telling you to do or decisions that it's making for you, and then put that human element to it and go like, yeah, you know what, in this situation, this is probably not the best thing to do, and then do the other thing. If you blindly follow anything, fuck it, you deserve to die.
No, sure, absolutely. But then, so to play devil's advocate there, aren't there situations where you need the human element removed? Aren't there, say, business scenarios where you go, I'm going to make the human emotional decision to save a job, or, you know, not upset this person or do whatever. And then, but the right decision financially or business decision is going to be the one that the AI makes.
Yes, but I'll give you an example, a real world example. My father used to run an X-ray department in New York. And I remember he told me this story one time of, he said he had mostly women underneath him. And he had a couple guys. And he goes, there was this one dude that, for whatever reason, he goes, the guy sucked at his job. Mm-hmm. And he goes, when this guy would come in, everybody else would work better. And he goes, the guy just had this infectious personality. Everybody loved to be around him. And he goes, and for some reason, people were happier when the guy was in the office. And he goes, I had every reason to fire him.
But
he goes, but he made everybody else work better and faster. And he goes, and he wasn't like in a position to motivate or to be in charge of people to make them work. He goes, for some reason, he just brought the mood up.
Just a happy, charismatic,
just brought the mood up. And he goes, and everybody pumped out more work, and everybody was happier at work when this guy was there. And he goes, is the only reason why I kept him. He goes, because he was horrible tech.
So, okay, so use that example.
Yep.
If you have AI is going to look at schedules.
Yep.
And it's going to go, so-and-so is working today. And for whatever reason, productivity, right? Like in this case, like it's not going to be anecdotal, right? Like in that case, your dad's going, yo, when this guy was here, I produced more work. Mm-hmm. The AI is going to prove that. It's going to go, this guy was scheduled today. We're looking at timesheets. These people were here. And then it's even going to go, this person works harder when this person, like it's going to make the correlation.
If it makes the correlation, right? If it gets to that point. But if you're looking, again, I think it depends on how you're looking at the data. If you're going, who are my top performers? And this guy is consistently performing lower than everybody else. Are you then making the wrong decision?
Yeah, because you have to know what question to ask, right? It's like the amount of data we have. So you ever watch a game on like ESPN or Fox, and they tell you like the dumbest shit about somebody? They're like, oh, on games that start before 5 p.m. on a Wednesday.
And you go like, who the fuck cares?
Who the fuck cares? Yeah. They're like, oh, where they ate hot dogs. This person's batting fourth, and you're like, who the fuck is tracking that? Like, I feel like the AI inevitably, it's gonna be so smart that you're not even gonna need to know to ask it the question. It's just gonna go, hey, when this guy works, productivity's up 16% for whatever reason. Like, but here's your 4 top performers. But this person, for whatever reason, these people perform better when this person's here. Like, I think that inevitably it'll get to that. Like, it needs enough data to do that. But I think it's gonna go, yeah, man. Like, it's not gonna know that people are in a better mood, but it's gonna tell you, like, because I don't care if they're in a better mood if you're performing the same.
Yep.
But I do care if you're in a better mood if you're not quitting as much, if your output is right. And so, like, I think the AI is gonna go, yo, man, people quit less who work more shifts with this guy, or people, you know, put out more work if this person's here. Like, what's the common denominator and between output and, you know, like stuff like that. No. Like, I feel like inevitably it'll get
perhaps
there. Yeah.
But I also think that human element of going, yep, like those people are happier when this guy is here.
I also
think
that's what
you. Yeah, that's what computers can't measure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like anecdotally, like when you're looking at it, you can't measure that.
But what if eventually you're measuring shit like serotonin?
I mean, yeah.
and dopamine levels, and you know what I mean, shit like that.
Yeah.
If you're measuring that, then
Yeah, because we're all gonna have chips in us at some point, and all this shit. They're gonna be like, "Oh, so and so's adrenaline is high," or like you said, their serotonin levels are high, or their cortisol levels are high. When like this person stresses them the fuck out, or like no, it's a good point. Like that's inevitable. Like in our lifetime, like it's funny. Like I've talked to a lot of people over time. It's like when we talk about Neuralink, and they're just like, I'm not doing it. And I'm one of those, like, I'm not doing that, like, unless I have to, in terms of, like, if I'm not a paraplegic or whatever, like, something that can help me. But I feel like at some point, I'm going to be at a competitive disadvantage in my lifetime if I don't have one. Because
I'm in day one.
So then I go, I'm in. Like, because if you're telling me I could download a language and know it, then fuck yeah. If you're telling me, like, because at this point, like, I it's your brain, right? So the downsides are like limitless in terms of like what the long-term effects are going to be. But if you're telling me like someone's vetted this out, like whatever, you don't see any things, and it's 10 years in, it's like, yo, this shit works, it's awesome. You go, yo, I'm at a competitive disadvantage to not have one. And honestly, if I'm thinking about it, like, it sounds kind of fun. Like, I want to know everything. I want to be able to say, hey, I know this, that. Especially for someone like me, man. I have this, like, and we've talked about this on here before. I want to try and do so much that I feel like something like this gives me the ability to experience that.
Right.
Like, I want to learn as many languages as I can.
It's like Limitless.
It
like
is.
The movie.
Yeah. So, like, I'm one of these people who I'm like, man, I want to touch and feel and experience and like, as much as I possibly can, because I probably have, whatever, many years on this earth. I'm like, does this give me the ability to maximize that time? If it does, then fuck yeah. Is it less time reading a book? And then that's more time I get to spend doing something else, then I'm in. If it's like, it's all these things where I'm like, So I feel like initially we're all going to be a little sort of weary of it, but inevitably we're all going to be at a disadvantage because, like, if everyone has it, then and on the flip side of that, it's the person that doesn't have it. Is there going to be a point in time where the emotional person is the sort of more sought after because there's a decision that it needs to be made that you want that, and now they become the rarity?
Or are they the outcast?
Right. But in either way, like, we know, like, outcast or rare is sort of like a valuable in a sense.
It's a commodity.
Yeah, it's a commodity. Yep. It's a perfect word for it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's that whole thing is gonna be.
Yeah, man. I feel like we could go like freaking hours.
That was the longest. That was the whole episode of Thank you guys for listening.
All right, man. What you got,
dude? My carbon football this week. I wrestled with a few. And I picked Deion Sanders, man. And I don't know if we've talked a little bit about Deion here before. I think maybe with Jackson State and some of the things.
Oh yes,
I think so. Deion Sanders, obviously legend, primetime, just prolific NFL career, baseball career.
Yep.
Just one of the Bo Jackson type athletes of our generation, I think. Legend. I mean, Deion Sanders was amazing. But he's a head coach now of Jackson State, or was a head coach of Jackson State and HBCU. Did a lot for HBCUs. There's so many things now that I think are a direct sort of, I guess, attributed to Deion Sanders' time as a head coach for an HBCU, which is like, there's things like HBCU invitationals. There's more money being poured into HBCUs. There's more, we've talked on here about athletes committing to historically black colleges. Yes. So Deion Sanders changed that perception and then sort of put HBCUs on the map. Now, there's a lot of things with HBCUs that they need help with. They have lower alumni donation rates. And we all know that, especially for athletic programs, they rely heavily on alumni donations. I think that's part of that is lower graduation rates. Part of that is lower wealth in the black community. But part of that is also they just don't do it, right? Like historically, or I guess the legacy rich whites, quote unquote, will donate to their alma maters.
Right.
Will contribute a lot of that. I think that for the and I'll take just blacks. I'll say just minorities in general, like, wealth is sort of new money to us, to minorities. And so I think we haven't gotten to the stage where we go, I'm going to donate to my alma mater. I'm going to donate to build this hospital ward. I'm going to donate to build this college of this, or this library, or this sports facility, or XYZ. So we'll get there. We're just not there yet because we just got money. And so when we get money, we go, all right, how do we keep money? And how do we do all this other? We're not at that point. So we will get there. But anyway, so I say this to say, like, Deion Sanders did a lot to change HBCUs, to bring in more money to HBCUs, to bring in exposure to HBCUs, which the exposure alone will lead to bigger, better things. You know, they're on TV and whatnot. Had 2 great years, just finished an undefeated season.
Didn't they win there?
I think they won their championship. Right? I think 2 championships in a row in the SWAC or whatever that conference is. I think it's D3. It's really small.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, small school, small dollars, small everything.
But he even got really good athletes to commit.
Yes, because he's Deion Sanders. And one of the things I love is he also got a lot of these like Insta thoughts, these famous chicks to go and give speeches to his boys about how they take advantage of athletes.
Yes.
Which is so great.
That's what we talked about on here before.
Brittany Renner. He had her bring it, which I'm like, again, it's great because like he's been there. He's like, bro, you're going to get these girls who are going to throw themselves at you and they're going to, this and that. Don't be stupid. And and he brings in a girl going, yeah, bro, I'm praying on guys like you because of blah 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 blah. You're gonna be an athlete one day. You're gonna make money. You're gonna do this. I'm trying to get pregnant, or I'm trying to, whatever it is. Like he brought her in, and she's pretty like open about that. I think it was Brittany Renner.
I don't remember.
I think it was her, but so like anyway, but he did that. That was unthinkable before Deion Sanders.
Absolutely.
Did it. So anyway, so he does this, and then he gets a job offer he entertained several schools. I think Florida International was one, or Florida Atlantic, one of those, and then USF. I'm sorry, USF. So he was in contention for the USF job, and then Colorado, and he chose Colorado.
Well,
so,
yeah,
over USF,
over USF,
absolutely,
yeah.
And a lot of people were knocking him for like being a sellout, quote unquote. Also, the speech he gave to his kids, to the kids at Colorado.
I did not hear this speech.
You absolutely need to go and watch it. It's probably 5 to 8 minutes.
Oh, damn it, we can't play
it. It's an introductory. It's long. I would play it.
That's long.
Dude, it's so good. Like, it's so good. It's also cringy in moments. It's also like, oh shit in moments. But it's also so, I think, so authentically him. And I think it did what it was supposed to, which is he wants kids to quit. Like, he's trying to push you there. He's trying to push you to enter the transfer portal. He's trying to and he's trying to make the news because he knows that the publicity in college football is everything. Like, you're trying to recruit, like, especially now that kids can leave schools year to year to year, they can enter the transfer portal. Like, it's a popularity contest every year, and you're basically looking for clout every year. Like, he goes into this room of kids, and by halfway through, bro, I was ready to run through a wall for this guy because he would say something, and then he would follow it with, I'm coming. So he would be like, you guys aren't going you're not going to be wearing hats to meetings anymore in 2 months. I'm coming. You're not going to be sitting out here putting this shitty product that your parents in this school had to put up with the last 2 decades. I'm coming. And then he would say something else, and he would just follow it. I'm coming. And the whole time, but by the end of it, I was like, I'm coming. Let's go. I was like, but he goes like, some of you guys, I'm coming with luggage, so your positions are already filled. So you better enter the transfer portal. I'm coming. And then he would just like everything. He would just like follow with this. So first, like some people thought it was like mean spirited, right? Because he was basically like, yo, you guys, and he brought up some good points. He goes like, yo, look at this facility. You guys have this amazing facility at Colorado. You know what the kids in Jackson would do, and Jackson State would have done for this? Which, by the way, he got Jackson State a new facility.
Oh, he did.
He got him donations to build a world-class facility.
Yeah.
Because he did that. But he goes, you guys have this shit, and that's the garbage that you do on the field. You know how many people would kill for that? And so he's telling these kids, like, you suck. And I like outright, just again, not sugarcoating it, not anything. And I respect it. And I think that one of the things that stood out to me were the fact that people were calling him a sellout, and people were saying that he was I guess that he sort of stopped the movement for the HBCU. I go, no, man, he handed the baton over to whoever's next. Like, he got it to this certain point, and then of course he needs to jump to the next level, because it isn't just about HBCUs. I think it's about moving the entire culture forward. Obviously, he wants to get paid, and he wants to build a program. He wants to win a national title, and you're not going to be able to do that at Jackson State, right? Like, you're not, like, realistically, you're not going to compete for, you went 12-0, you won 2 championships 2 years in a row. You're nowhere near ranked.
Yo, I wonder how long he would have to stay there in order for them to, like, jump conferences.
Decades.
Now, why are there no HBCUs part of any major conference?
Underfunded, right? Like,
is that what it is?
Yeah, because you don't. So you're underfunded, which is interesting. Kids don't commit. The best athletes don't commit because you're a smaller school. You don't have the sexiness, you don't have the appeal, and then those schools don't compete at that level. They don't have the funding to be able to compete at that level, which he might change that, or his motion might change that. But to me, it's like someone else picked that up now and run with it. Like whoever he appointed to be the new head coach at Jackson State, like, hey, man, I gave you the blueprint. Listen, not everyone is Deion Sanders.
I think that's the deal. There's not everyone is Deion Sanders, and then you're telling from your speech, you're telling the kids, hey, like, you guys that are really talented, like, you're coming. Like, the call's coming to you. You know, so you're going to take away talent. So I do see that side of it. But I also see, like, Deion's trying to build whatever Deion's vision is. And I think you have to kind of separate yourself from the whole fact that he's black to the fact that this is a man who has been, you know, who has had goals his whole life. I mean, I followed this guy from college, right? From when he was fucking Seminole. And the dude has had a phenomenal career, has been in the media, you know, from the time he was in college. And to my recollection, bro, and I could be wrong, I don't remember this guy getting in trouble.
No, I mean, he was always like...
He was the flashy dude. He was always out in the clubs and whatever, but I don't remember, you know, like...
There's no legal issues.
He know Ray Lewis.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have anything that was incriminating, and then he's always been like a, you know, he's a Christian guy, right? And he's always kind of gone off of those morals. And if you're a parent sending your kid to play sports, like, this is the guy you want your kids to play for.
Absolutely, man. Like this is the guy you want your kids to play for, because as an athlete, he's a legend. Like, just there's no matter how good,
and he's probably faster than half of them on the field.
I said, no matter how good your kid is, he's not Deion Sanders, right? And so, like that. But then I also, you know, I think I look at this, man, and I look at this the same way. I hate that we do this to somebody like Deion, because this isn't any different than any other job. Any other CEO.
Correct.
Right? Like if you're a CEO of Disney, let's say Disney as an example, or actually no, not Disney. If you're a smaller media company, right, and you're a minority CEO and you build this media company to be this empire, and then Disney comes knocking and they want you to run Disney now, should you not go run Disney? You
should absolutely go.
Absolutely should.
And in the private sector, it wouldn't even be looked upon as anything but that, right? Mm-hmm. But when you are in these, you know, when you're in sort of like the public eye, it's that's when you get the most scrutiny. And it's like, man, like, all of us would do the same shit.
Absolutely.
And like I said, and I think Deion has a vision of what he wants his life to be, and he's slowly fulfilling that.
Absolutely. And I think the reason I'm giving him the carbon footprint is because I think he has changed HBCUs, because there are things like HBCU invitationals for basketball where these kids get to showcase their talents. And granted, maybe big schools are going to poach them, but what it also does is it gives them exposure to sponsors, right? Like, he's gotten sponsors from big name companies, corporations that give money to the school. He's built that facility. I think that doesn't go away right now unless they blow it. Right, like the people now, sort of the gatekeepers of the HBCUs, like, it's your job. And I do think it's shifted, because I do think part of this is also, and we've talked about this here before with some of the basketball guys, is the internet has allowed you, social media has allowed you to not have to go to Duke. You can go to an HBCU and put a highlight reel on your Instagram, right, and still get the notoriety that you would have if you went to North Carolina, or you went to a Duke, or you went to Kentucky. So, like, I think Deion has laid this blueprint out, and if these people sort of take that baton and keep running with it, we are inevitably going to have an HBCU, I think, that will be able to compete on the main stage, will get top recruits, and we're going to look back at this moment and go, oh shit, Deion started this. And so it's like a preemptive sort of carbon footprint, because I think he's going to change the landscape of college football, because in a sport that is predominantly black, you would think that the black colleges are at the forefront, and they're not. But there's a lot of reasons for that. It isn't just Deion Sanders, man. There's so many reasons. Again, and I think alumni donation rates was a big part of it, and
it's
know
a
lot of that.
Part of it,
it's the biggest part of it.
Yeah,
actually, because if you think about, dude, Jerry Jones donates a shit ton of money to whatever. I think it was Oklahoma State or one of those. A shit ton and that's why these guys have world class facilities and all this stuff. Like, and they're able to pay head coaches, because that's the other thing. Colorado doesn't even have the money to pay Deion Sanders right now.
Is that right,
dude? The AD admitted we don't, but we will, because we have Deion Sanders now. So it's essentially like our donations are going to go up, and dude, 2 years, if not next year.
That's like an investment. Like it's an investment.
It's an investment. It's like you're hoping this pays off, and they gave him a decent contract,
and it will.
And it will. It absolutely will, because if not next season, the season after, that team's ranked. There's no way around it. That team is absolutely a top 25 team in the country within 2 years. If not next year, like, and then they're in a conference where they'll have a schedule that will allow them to dive into that college playoff system, especially when they do the expansion. So what is it, 8 teams, 12 teams they're doing?
I think it's like 12, bro.
Yeah, so he'll definitely get into that in his lifetime at Colorado, unless something crazy happens. Right. Like, there's no way that he doesn't. So, yeah, man. So shout out to him. I think this isn't the end of what's happened for HBCU. I think he kicked it off, and, you know, hopefully the momentum keeps building, and hopefully I think the black community, the alumni, especially those that go on to do well, will look back and take care of those schools. And because, again, a lot of this is alumni donations.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest problem with HBCUs. And again, I understand that a lot of this is new wealth, and so they're not wealthy enough to give money to schools in that capacity. But hey, man, if you can give, you know, $1,000, or, you know, that shit adds up, or you can give $2,000, it starts to add up over time.
Yep.
And I feel like this is sort of the firecracker that kicks it all off. You know, hopefully Deion was. So
yeah,
we'll see, man.
We'll see, man. Dude, let's staying with sports. I guess it's kind of sports related. Brittany Griner.
What?
She got freed this week.
I was gonna say, we won't talk about prisoners here.
Dude, Brittany Griner got freed this week, man. And so, and not only was she freed from Russia, but she was freed in a swap for that, like, major arms dealer. Like, this dude was essentially giving, like, dealing weapons to, I guess to folks that were not fighting for Russia, but was sort of allies of Russia.
Dude, isn't this the guy that the Nicolas Cage made the movie about?
Yes. What was the name of the
Lord
movie?
of War.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. With great movie.
I never seen it.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Because Nicolas Cage is the same guy in every movie.
He's awesome. I love Nicolas Cage. I know what I'm getting. He's consistent. I love Nicolas Cage.
But dude, so the other thing of this was, like, there was that businessman slash former Marine that was that's over there for espionage since 2018.
Whalen?
Yes. So he wasn't part of the deal. It was literally a 1-for-1. And so on the first thing, I'm just going, that's not a fair deal.
Well, and and I believe this. First of all, I think that this is so much more complex than we'll ever understand.
Oh, absolutely.
The global, I think, stakes that are, here. And if I'm Russia, I'm not giving him up either, because he's the military guy that I'm charging espionage, not some basketball player. So I understand it. And according
to
he
was a businessman when that shit occurred.
And
like, he wasn't some like Marine soldier that went over there to do some shit.
But and then according to I think it was the White House, was that they wouldn't even entertain giving Whalen up. Like, they're like, no, it's one. And according to them, they said it's the 1-for-1 or it's none. And so they had to make the decision of, okay, we can at least bring one home. Because I know some people have been knocking them, like, hey, we didn't get that. Now, listen, again, I think this shit is so much bigger than us that we'll never understand. But could we have given somebody else? Sure.
I agree.
But
what? But so my thing is, like, why her? When we talk about this, when she got arrested initially, we talked about this on this show, and I'm like, yo, you fucked up. Do you deserve to spend whatever the hell the sentence was over there? No. Like, in my opinion, right?
Right.
In my opinion, no. You don't deserve the sentence that you got. However, this is not your first rodeo. Like, you've played there before. You know what the rules are in that country, and if you don't follow those rules, then there's consequences. I don't understand how, because you're sort of a high-profile individual in the United States, that you get essentially, like, I guess Kim Kardashian would get the same fucking treatment if she got arrested over there for some vape pipe. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Brittany Griner is a basketball player. That's it.
Yeah.
And so and it's not even on a level. And again, we in this country get put athletes on such a fucking pedestal. And I'm guilty of that as well. But fuck, man, like you play basketball and you made a mistake. Like you broke a rule in another country and you got arrested. Like, I don't understand how the government at the highest level gets involved in that.
Dude, how many Americans are prisoners abroad because they broke similar rules in like Asian
No one
countries?
fucking knows them.
No one knows, bro.
That's
no one
it,
knows.
bro.
And that's what it is. And again, I understand that. Dude, by the way, worst trade since the Broncos gave up 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson? Gotta be, right?
I hated that. You're right.
Broncos gave up 2 firsts, Drew Lock, a second, a fourth.
The firstborn.
Biden might be the worst GM in the history. Dude, I don't know.
I used to like Russell Wilson.
Yo, I've been puffing my chest for months now because I've been saying Russell Wilson is overrated for years.
You've been saying that shit.
Anyway, yeah, man, I don't agree. So here's the thing: I agree with you want to free as many Americans. I think on principle. I also think this is so much more complex than we'll ever understand. I think there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that and on the global scale that sort of. I think this world is super fucking fragile. Like, I think the difference between someone pressing a nuke button is literally could be a basketball player right now. Like, just today. So, like, I like to think that there's a lot of shit that I don't know that went into this decision. Because I'd have to, yes, Brittany Griner is high profile and she makes the news. And also, what's the message to Americans if you go, bro, y'all keeping, like, you guys are going to let Russia do this, I think, as citizens, because we know her. Now, if you plastered Whalen all over the news all the time and said, this guy's there, I think we would go, especially, I would think the military would go, yo, that's one of us, man. We served. And you have him there, but he doesn't get the TV time. He doesn't get the social media time. He doesn't get the CNN,
Right.
headline. So, like, or the Fox News headline. And I think it's funny, man. As I was watching these media outlets like report on it and knock the administration for like saving Brittany Griner, and I agree because there's a lot of people in this country who are fucking in jail for weed who should be let go. Like if you're gonna go trade dangerous assets for that, then go free the ones here.
Didn't Biden free them people?
And he did some, right? Well, he took out the what was it? He cleared their records and yeah, there was something, but. I also blame these same media outlets because you're not giving coverage to Whalen. You're giving coverage to Brittany Griner. Like, this is on you.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
if you gave coverage to the nobodies, then this would be at the forefront because I think we would all feel that way. We would all go, well, fuck, man, I'm a normal guy. I could go travel to Singapore or Russia or whatever and get arrested for a vape pen for, what's the thing that could get you caught, man? Could it be a blade? Could it be a shaving razor? Could it be, like, we don't know.
Any of those things.
It could be any of those things. World Cup. Could it be Qatar? What do you bring into there that's illegal? Like, it could be anything. But none of us are high profile enough, and these media outlets who are the same ones criticizing aren't going to cover us, and they're the same reasons why Brittany gets out. It's because they're covering her 24/7, and they're talking about her 24/7, and they're doing. And so, like, while I agree that she's just a basketball player, and we shouldn't have freed that because we do the same shit to people here, and so we're sort of hypocrites for doing this. I also understand that her platform. And the platform that we gave her and continue to give her is what allows her to be freed over Whalen. Because, listen, man, Whalen is news this week. Next week, no one's tweeting about Whalen. And he'll spend another 10 years there, possibly, and we'll just forget about it. And I guarantee you the next time it'll come up will be during the elections. I think that's all it is.
And that's the thing. So did freeing Brittany Griner just gain Biden votes? You know what I mean? Like, what does that say when you bring her back? Does that just go in your favor? And it's not. I mean, it's past election time for at least the midterm elections, and you're still 2 years out before the presidential election, which I don't think you should run anyway. But that's besides the point. Mm-hmm. What does this buy you?
I think it does both. right? Like, I think it does buy you votes, right, from your people, but I think it also loses you some, because if if I'm you and I'm a former military member, I'm going, yo, man, this guy served his country. He's not important to you. Like, I think that would weigh into my decision about who I vote for. Now, this is a long ass conversation that we have to say for another episode, but I also think in the current climate, whether we want to admit it or not, like, Biden's boring and he snoozes off and we can make fun of that. I think we low key like it. I think we to use the Joe Rogan thing of like when we elected Trump and Barack was president, I think we dated a whore for so long that we kind of like the girl that you can take home to mom right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like.
Oh, at least the one that'll sleep during the day.
Have you ever heard that bit from Joe Rogan where he goes, we've been dating the sensible, calm girl that you can bring home to mom, and that was Barack.
Right.
And he goes, and now we're ready for a whore, and we want to drive the top down in the Corvette. I'm paraphrasing, but that's sort of what the bit is about. I go, I think we're kind of liking the sensible, calm. Like even I think people who are anti-Biden go, yo, we're not hating each other right now. We're not slinging shit at each other on the thing. Like, it's kind of quiet. That was a fucking rough 4 years. Like, we all hated each other for 4 years, depending on who you voted for. I think low-key, we're all going, yeah, man, it's kind of quiet. This dude's not all there. But shit's peaceful right now.
Right.
Yeah, so, I don't know, man. I don't know what it does for him, because I think it is something that he can tout come election time, but I also think it works in both directions, because I also think there's a big group of people who would go, yeah, but what about the normal, it's always, how they always go, Joe the plumber, like the average Joe. I think it's the average Joe goes, I'm not Brittany Griner. I'm not, whatever. Like, I'm not somebody who plays basketball or whatever or is famous. Or, I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I don't know about that one, man. I mean, she's home. Like, I'm sure she's happy to be home. I'm sure her family,
sure,
her wife, and is all happy that she's home. Good for her.
Follow the fucking rules when you travel.
Fuck, yeah. Don't be an idiot next time.
Yeah, because could we have traded this guy for Whalen?
Yeah, like don't make us choose between you and another person that we think deserves to be home more than you.
For fucking real, dude. I don't understand why. Again, and this is why I think, dude, this is why I think this is so much bigger than what we could possibly understand and comprehend. You know how you hear of the deep state all the time? It's like the people who actually run the country. I go like, I believe in that, because I think there's so much that happens that we don't know, we don't want to know, because we just get to live our comfortable lives day to day, and we really don't want these decisions. I was watching, I was listening to a podcast with Jon Stewart.
Yep.
Who Jon Stewart leans heavily left. We know that, but he had a great podcast with Condoleezza Rice and Hillary Clinton.
Okay,
so former secretaries of state, opposite parties, and it was so great to. And I know people were upset because they felt like he wasn't as hard on them as he could. Okay. But what I loved was he would bring up a scenario, or bring up a story, bring up a question, and they would start to explain it. And you could tell he wanted to jump in, but they would go like, no, let me finish. Like, yes, on the outside, you saw this, and this. Here's what was going on behind the scenes. And these are things that I guess are just allowed to talk about now because they're public record. And like, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. And just to see his face go, like, I didn't know. But I think what made it even better is that you have Condoleezza Rice on there, and that you have Hillary Clinton, and Condoleezza Rice is going like, yeah, and then this happened, and Hillary's going, and they're like defending each other, like, yeah, you have to make this decision, and people don't know this, and then you have to, and you're like, oh, you guys are enemies, quote unquote, right? You're on the opposite side of the aisle, but you had the same job, you had the same, and on one, they're like, yeah, I didn't envy you for that one, and it was like they understood the decisions that they had to make that were tough, man,
right?
And no matter what you do, you're dividing the country 50-50, right? Because half the people aren't going to be happy with what you did. But it was so fascinating to hear these like, yeah, like this, and I got knocked. And yes, on the surface, it sounds bad, but here's what you don't know and what's going on behind the scenes. Like, if I did this would happen, this would happen, this would happen. And so we had to make the choices, like, what's the least collateral damage, or what's the least, and it was such a fascinating conversation, man. Like, I hadn't finished it the whole way through, and the parts that I did get through, I'm like, wow, man, that was like, because one of those, like, I didn't want to just listen to and while I was doing something,
right?
Because it was so like interesting. Like, I found myself stopping. I wanted to pay attention, and I love that it was two people, and I think that's what gave it to me. I think made it I trusted it more because it was two different opinions, two different people who did the job too, and they were almost defending each other. Like, yeah, no, like, you had to, oh man, you got that one, blah, 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 like, and you're talking about people who like, Condoleezza Rice was there for 9/11. Hillary Clinton was there for the what do you call that? Benghazi and Barack. So she served for Barack.
Yeah,
so
okay.
and so she's there for like the Benghazi stuff,
Yep.
and she's there for there was another big one that she was there around, and obviously Condoleezza Rice, right, during war and 9/11, and all this other shit that happened. Like, it was like they're experienced secretaries of state, and they have these opposite parties, but they had to make the exact same decisions for the well-being of the country in this sort of like socio-political climate that we'll never understand, like these
Right.
things that we'll never
And
understand.
then there's only certain things that leak out in the media.
Yes.
And then we as the consumers of that are making decisions based on limited data.
Yeah, and then it depends on the channel we watch, right? Because if you watch
That's
CNN, they're giving you this slant, and if you watch Fox, they're giving you this slant, and so we're never fed. Again, it's affirmation at this point. It's never information, and so you're just being fed whatever the narrative is for the side that wants to convince you that their side is right. And then, but when you're hearing them talk, you're like, yeah, that is a shitty decision. And then sometimes you're like, yeah, I still disagree, but you've done this, you had all these things, and so you made that decision. I don't have to agree with your decision, but you were well informed, and sort of, it's a reasonable. I can see how you got there. It wasn't like a political, like, oh, left, right. It's like, no, this shit's real,
Yep.
and this is what was going on, and I had to make this call, right or wrong. Like, maybe like hindsight's 2020, and all of these things, right? So, yeah, it was a fascinating conversation, man. And so, like, I wonder with things like the Brittany Griner thing, understanding that like the political climate right now, where there's shit's going on in Ukraine and all this other stuff, like how much of this is things that we don't know, maybe even things where we're going, we got to get one out of there right now because shit's about to pop off, or we don't know what they'll do, like, so like, or there's another play for Whalen in there somewhere, or did Whalen do something else that we're not aware of, or did like, I just think, and that's not to say that he did, I'm just saying there's just so much I think that we don't know.
Yep.
That I can't, while on the surface it looks like I can't believe you would save the basketball player, I'd like to think that there's a lot of shit there that I don't know that's going on.
Yeah, and I don't fault them for not getting the the former Marine. I have no idea, as most of us, I have no idea what he did to go to jail over
fair
there.
Point. I don't either.
I have no fucking clue. I just go, why would you trade an arms dealer for a basketball player?
Which, by the way, he's 12 years into like a 25-year sentence.
Correct.
So he wasn't here
So
for
he
life
served
anyway.
he served like half his term.
He served like half his term,
And
which is
maybe
what
that
we
was
let
it.
people go out here anyway.
Yes, I was gonna say, and maybe that was it, right? Maybe you go like, he served half his term. Fuck it. Like the maybe the positive publicity that we'll get from this, will be good. But again,
And so people go like,
it just
go
depends
back
on
to
who it
dealing
is.
arms. It's like,
Right.
you don't think we're watching this guy now?
Right.
You don't think this guy gets a bullet to the head the
And-
minute he tries to go do something?
And not for nothing, the dude is like I want to say in his mid to late 50s.
Yeah.
So at some point, you got to go, like I'm done with that.
Listen, he's a Russian hero now. He probably doesn't have to do that anymore. 'Cause
Right.
I'm sure he goes back and lives a pretty comfortable life because he's going to be looked at as a hero where he's from, like, or a traitor. I don't know. Maybe they think he told us shit that he wasn't supposed to. Like, who knows? I don't know what his
who knows,
relationship
yeah.
is like. But yeah, man. I'd like I'd like to think that the sentence and how much he served and all this shit, like all of it, all information that I don't have played into it. And if it's true that they're going, we tried, they said absolutely not, and the conversation stalled, and it became it's either this 1 for 1 or none of them, and you're going, I'm willing to give up this guy because maybe the threat level is really low, and I'd rather get her back because it's it's an American, it's a high profile American, it's a whatever it is. It's like, I get it, because if somebody goes, if you're negotiating with Putin or whoever you're negotiating with on the Russian side, and they go, no, it's this or none, what are you saying back? Oh, nah, I'm not giving you this guy, keeper. Like, I guess you could, but then you got to go back to the American people and go, like, they offered blah, blah for so-and-so, then not worth it. Yeah, you're going to have your people who are going to go, yeah, man, she's not worth the arms dealer. But most people are going to go, oh, it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're fucked either way.
Yeah, you're fucked either way.
And you're old and falling asleep. So
Listen,
who
bro,
cares?
and knowing all this weird shit that happens, like you seen World Cup, motherfuckers are dropping dead left to right. I refuse to believe that shit is a coincidence.
The only one I saw, so first of all, World Cup today at just before 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my son comes out of the room, puts on the main TV in the living room, which he doesn't typically do unless he's going to watch something with his mother or myself. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm going to watch Argentina. And I'm like, well, shit. So I go over there, man. He puts it on. He asks me what channel it's on. I tell him. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to watch this, you got to put on like the surround sound because you got to watch it like you're in the freaking stadium, right? So I get it. It's all loud. I'm working, but I don't have any calls. So I'm like, yeah, man, put it on. And he was thoroughly entertained. And it's one of those games where they actually scored some goals. It wasn't like a 1-0. You know what I mean? He scored 3 goals. Argentina won. But each time something happened, like he was super into it. He's coming back over and telling me about it. So yeah, that was like, it was different. And I'm not into soccer, but it was different. It was exciting to see the excitement in him for those games.
Dude, as you like not into soccer, when you watch someone like Lionel Messi, does he look different to you than everybody else on the field? Like, can you like spot that and go, man, that guy is different? Like that's.
Oh yeah, you can tell like who's like the better athlete, right? But I also go, that dude's about 5'9".
He's so small. No, he's not, bro.
He's not?
Dude, Messi's like 5'7", 5'6". He's small, bro. They call him the flea. Like La Pulga is like his nickname. Yeah. He's tiny, bro. He's tiny. Like, he might be 5'6", 5'7", something like that. Like, he's small.
Guy's skilled, though, man. That guy is freaking skilled,
animal, bro. Dude, this is
his last opportunity, right, to win World Cup.
Yeah, you would. I mean, he could play again, but he's pushing 40. You would think by the time the next one comes around. I think he's 37, something like that.
So yeah, so you go 41.
So you
the
go
next
41,
one, right?
42, whatever. Like, I don't know what, like, where he's at right now, but you go, okay, realistically, it's his last shot at one. And I would say this is the best I've seen him play in a World Cup. And I know they were in the final in 2014. They lost to Germany.
Oh, okay.
So it isn't his first finals. And he played well, but the knock on Messi was he didn't have any goals in the elimination rounds, in the semifinals, the quarterfinals, and all that.
He's had what, like 5?
He's had 2 or 3 goals. He has 5 in the total World Cup, but he's had like 2 now, I think, in 2 or 3 now in the elimination game, which is like he's answered that. But more importantly, man, I don't know if you've seen the passes he's made in the last 2. There was a pass in the last game that he made, dude. There's 5 dudes defending him in the box, and he gets off this fucking pass without looking. It's like very like Patrick Mahomes, I guess, in ways that we can understand, where it's the no look, just toss. Like
he did one this weekend.
Yeah, it's like he pulls off this pass, and I'm not a soccer, like I don't understand soccer strategy and all that stuff. I enjoy watching it. I will watch like Premier League and La Liga and all that stuff. But I don't understand it that much. But I watch him and I'm just like, how the fuck does he make, like, he's made passes. Even today, he made that pass from
the one under the guy's legs.
Oh my god, man!
As they're running,
and it's purposeful. Like if you watch him, he does that shit all the time,
really? And
you go, it's not a coincidence. He's not getting lucky. Like this guy, he looked like a basketball player going baseline on that one, and then he passes, and you just go. You're so crippled as a goalie because you're like, do I run at Lionel Messi? And then he just, like, he doesn't even have to beat you by scoring. He's just going to find the guy through this weird hole. It's just
And I didn't
crazy,
even see it until they put it in slow motion.
Oh, my God, man. Because it happens so quick that you're just like, how? And if you look at his face, man, he doesn't even look up. Like, he's sitting there and he's, like, looking down in that slow motion. He just kicks it. He doesn't even look at where the ball's going, but he knows this guy's there.
Yeah.
It's just, that guy, man, I watch him and I'm like, yeah, that's different. That's just, like.
And he just seems like a nice dude.
He does.
So you just it's hard not to root for him,
dude. And I look at him. I'll never forget, man. It was like years ago. Like I follow FC Barcelona a lot, so I watch Messi play a lot. So I try to watch as many of their games as I could. And I remember like when I was first getting into it, I was watching him, and I go, the ball looks like it's on a tether attached to his feet. It was the weirdest shit in the world because I go, the guy's going full speed and he's keeping control. And he's like in basketball, you get like a Steph Curry or like a Kyrie Irving, and they're just shaking everybody up, and they're going through, and their handles are just ridiculous. It's like he does that shit, but with his feet, and it's just so crazy. And he gets by 3 defenders, and you're just like, the ball looks like it's attached to him, like it's just so crazy to keep that. And then he goes off and he scores on like the softest, most like. You're just looking at it, you're going, nobody looks like that on the field. Like, it's just so crazy to watch, and I'm so glad that he's made it this far. I was hoping Ronaldo would get there, because how epic would it be to have potentially their last World Cups? Because Ronaldo is, I think, 39 or something like that. He's pushing 40. So should be his last chance at this. Man, if Portugal would have gotten in and you get a Portugal-Argentina final, it would have been crazy.
Yeah, it would have been dope.
But I am rooting for, I hate to say it, I'm rooting for France to get in. because my brother lost French, and I've been
partial, man.
Yeah, I am because of the family.
Biased.
So I am rooting for France in that aspect, but it's gonna hurt, man. In the final, I want to see Messi get one, man.
Yeah.
I want to see the greatest player of this generation, him and Ronaldo, and potentially the greatest player of all time.
Yep.
Just get a World Cup. Like it's just like because in soccer, I think the World Cup is like what the NBA title is to NBA players, right? Like, yeah, you could win championships in your league, and you can win the Champions League, and you can do that. I think the World Cup cements your legacy in soccer, and so like it'll always be but you didn't win a World Cup. But you never
won. Yep.
Yeah. And the World Cup is that. So, man, if Messi, or at least, we live in this, we've sort of gotten to live through this weird, really cool time in soccer like we did for tennis. And I know, like, these aren't big sports, but, like, we got spoiled where we got to see the greatest tennis players of all time, and Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, all these guys at the same time.
Yep.
And I feel like soccer gave us the same thing. You got Ronaldo, and you got Messi, and you got Neymar, and you're getting Mbappe, and you're getting all these guys. You got Wayne Rooney. You had all these people, Harry Kane, at the same time, who are going to be generational talents. And Ronaldo and Messi are in that conversation for greatest of all time.
Right.
It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just so cool to see. So I hope he definitely gets his.
Yeah, man, that's dope. But to go back to how you started this conversation, people are fucking dying over there.
Left and right, bro. That shit is not a coincidence,
I've
bro.
only seen, so you gotta tell me, man, because I've only seen the one, there was a reporter that went over to Qatar, and he wore like a rainbow shirt, and they do not agree with that shit over there, and the guy turns up dead.
Yep.
Who else is that,
dude? And then there's been 2 other like journalists or like.
So they're all journalists.
Yes, bro.
Oh.
That shit is not a coincidence. They've all dropped dead suddenly. They've
free
all
speech ain't free.
Nope. I refuse to believe that shit is a coincidence, bro.
No, dude.
Refuse because.
They punish their own people over there, man.
And respect
in that area.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Qatar, but I'm just saying
in that part
region.
Of the world. Yes. Dude, and listen, much love and peace to their family and all that stuff, and like horrible, horrific what's happened to them. I know these guys have families and that have
absolutely.
to deal with this. But I just, I go back to when the World Cup started. I just refuse to believe that 3 people have suddenly died like from heart attacks. This guy was complaining about like bronchitis like symptoms, and they're like, oh, he had bronchitis. I'm like, how many people die from bronchitis? And especially he's a 48-year-old. He's a young guy. He's in shape. Like if you see him, it's not like, I don't know, man. I just refuse to believe that this shit's coincidental. Especially when you get 3 journalists. I think one of them was a cameraman or something, maybe. I can't remember, but it's definitely 3 people in the media space. I'm just not buying it, man. I just don't buy it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that this is either way you can't bring these guys back, right? But yeah, man, this shit's just odd. Like you said, things are different in that part of the world, man. So
yeah, dude, I don't see how those guys, like, when you're going over to another part of the country, this kind of goes back to the Brittany Griner thing as well. When you are going into other countries, especially in parts of the world where the cultures are so different and what is accepted is so different, and then for you to go over there and kind of display your, and I'll just call it your American ideology, it's like, yo, that shit is not accepted everywhere.
And this was a few months ago for him.
And people just don't, and a lot of people in other countries don't give a fuck about you.
Dude, and this was what he did, what you're referring to, what he did with the shirt was a few months ago, right? It wasn't even recent. It was a few months ago at a different soccer tournament that he covered and all that. But people don't forget, bro. Like, and they're going to bring this up. This, I think his last name is Wall, the guy you're talking about. I can't think of his first name. But he's also the one who covered LeBron. Grant Wall. Yes. He did the big story on LeBron in high school coming out, and he followed him and stuff. So he's a very like well-known sports reporter, right? Like, so a journalist that did these big stories. And I think the one on LeBron is probably one of the bigger ones that comes to mind. Was he did a lot of the big LeBron stories when he was coming out of Akron. But I don't know, man. Like you said, coincidentally, the people who have sort of something that is sort of against who have, I guess, very strong Western beliefs and
ideologies
and all that stuff are dropping dead. Like,
yeah,
I'm just not buying it, man. I'm just not buying it.
Listen, y'all want to go over there and watch the World Cup? By all means, go do that. But keep that shit to yourself.
I'm in for the next one, man. I've always wanted. The World Cup's been on my. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to cross.
But it's here next time, right?
It is. It's North America next time. Mexico, Canada, U.S., and then I think all the semifinal, quarterfinal, and final is all in the U.S. So I'm definitely gonna try to go. I would actually like to go. When I do it, I would want to see it in another country. Probably not out there, but I would want to see it, somewhere else.
Anywhere but the Middle
give me a
East.
Brazil. give me Brazil. Give me Japan. Give me something like that. But that's on my sports bucket list, man. Is a World Cup match. Just even watching it on TV, man, the energy. You said you were mentioning earlier that you were seeing people crying.
Oh yeah.
Dude, can you imagine?
Even
before the game's over. But can you imagine, like, the way I think of this is like we're both like football fans, right? And you root for the Bears, I root for the Titans. It's like, but can you imagine if they're shot at the Super Bowls every 4 years, and then they don't make it, right? And and they're getting eliminated, and then now you have to wait another 4 years. But like, it's like that.
I never thought about that.
But there's this pride that comes right in the world. Like soccer, like people
because it's the whole country.
It's a country, man. It's like we don't have that for the Olympics. Like, we don't care that much. But World Cup, for countries that love soccer, it's so meaningful. Like to win that, and then it only comes around every 4 years. It's devastating, right? You get eliminated. So I can see that, and I love that about sports, man. That we just get so into it. You were saying earlier that like how we get with sports is just
it's stupid.
It's stupid. And then since the beginning of time, like we were talking off air about how it's been a form of getting us sort of like entertained and distracted and all this stuff. It fucking works.
It works, bro.
It works, man.
And it not only works. We love it.
We like the distraction. We what's the Colin Cowherd line? Nothing makes smart guys stupider than pretty women in sports. And it's so fucking true. It's so true, man. Like I call myself a basic bitch, man, because I'm into like the stereotypical man shit where I'm like, let me watch fucking sports all day, I'll grunt, whatever, do the shit. Like I'm so that I could watch sports all day, and like this time of the year, I go Sunday. Like, I'm looking forward to Sunday already. I get to wake up and watch the World Cup final. I get to watch some NFL football. Like on some Sundays, it's like, oh, it's F1. I'm like, I'll have 3 things on at the same time. Like, I love that shit.
And you're not gonna do anything else.
Nothing, bro. Just that.
Speaking of Colin Cowherd, man, I watch him not every day, but typically during my lunchtime, I'll watch him maybe an hour or so. He had Darren Sproles on the other day. The worst interview.
What?
Darren Sproles is horrible.
Really? You talk about little Darren Sproles.
Little Darren Sproles, running back.
It's always the little people, bro. He under 5'9". I keep trying to tell y'all, man. I don't trust no men under 5'9".
Running back for what? He played for the Eagles. He played for the Chargers.
Yeah. Eagles,
Saints?
Chargers.
Saints?
Ooh, you're right. Yes.
Saints?
Yes, Saints. Yep.
Anyway, great running back. I don't know if he'll make
phenomenal.
I don't know if he'll make the Hall of Fame or not. But his NFL career was phenomenal. Anyway, Colin had him on for the last segment, and I know Colin was glad that shit was the last segment.
Yeah.
This dude was like, Colin, and Colin, when he talks, it's just kind of like a normal dude. He asks normal questions. Nothing that requires like too much thought. And this dude was struggling, bro. Struggling to like answer like basic questions.
Well, like when you say struggling, just
like I don't know, man. Like he would ask him.
So
yes, that's what I was thinking of, bro. So Juan does an impersonation of what the fuck was that guy's name?
Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson. If you guys ever seen him, look up Chris Johnson interview. If you never seen Chris Johnson in an interview, but he is like a southern like hood black dude that barely speaks English.
I played with Chris Johnson in high school, like in that same like I played.
He was probably nasty in high school.
Oh, he was
right?
ridiculous. It was stupid.
Yeah,
it was so stupid. Like you watched him play and you went, we don't belong on the same field as him.
Right.
No, it was so dumb, bro. I remember playing and going like, I don't belong on the same field as that guy. I might have quit right after that. But that man, bro, you would talk and and listen.
Now Darren Sproles wasn't. You could understand him, He just couldn't answer the question.
Couldn't articulate anything. Now, what do you think that is? Do you think it was an education thing? Do you think it was like a head injury thing? Do you think it was just he was disinterested? Do you think it was like Colin's questions were boring? Like, what do you think?
No, definitely not disinterested. I don't think it was a vocabulary barrier. I don't think it's anything like that. I think that he was perhaps overthinking the question.
Okay.
And trying to come up with some answer, and instead it was just like trash. It was just trash.
Was he like, you know how there's some people in the interviews where they try to use words that they clearly never use in their everyday vernacular?
No, because he would go, well, it was like like they told us to run the ball, and then we just did that. It was like that. It was like that kind of answer.
Coach said run the ball, so I just run the ball. And coach been right all the time. So coach gave me the ball, and I just ran the ball. And then we scored. Whoop, whoop.
It was like that. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he is on staff. I don't know if it's for the Eagles, but he is on staff on an NFL team as like a scout.
You know what I'm saying? I wonder, did he get boredom? Do you think he just wanted to get it over with?
Dude, the session, the segment was really short.
But yeah, it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, it was like the last 10 minutes.
Bro, that shit was pre-recorded at the beginning, and they went, fuck that.
Yeah.
Throw that shit on that TV.
Yep. And I know, I was like, my wife was watching it with me, and she's like, who is this guy? And I'm going, wow, man, like he was an amazing NFL player. I go, but who?
I'd be
man,
curious
this
to
is
go
the
back
last time that
and
he'll
play
go.
like post-game press conferences to see if he was always. Maybe he's not a good public speaker,
No,
like nervous.
maybe.
Like I'd be curious to see what he does because we always had those guys who like coach said run the ball, so I ran the ball, and then they said like pick it up when they hand it off, and Drew handed it off, so I just ran it, and then he's saying the most obvious shit. You're just like. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those, and it was sort of like reaching for words and stuff, and I'm just like, fuck, man, like he's asking you about your time in the NFL. You should have stories for days.
Oh my God, bro! You know who I liked? The Manning Cats had Adam Vinatieri on yesterday.
Oh, dude! So I didn't see that piece. I did see when they had on Joe Burrow. I didn't like it.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. They were making fun of. They played that video of the girl who was obsessed with him, who was crying. That shit was funny.
That one, and they showed the cigar smoking.
But the cigar, yeah. But to your point, Joe Burrow was boring.
He was boring.
He was boring. And normally I like him, but you can tell he's being very careful on what he says now. Like he's very measured and he's very like media friendly, media trained.
Correct.
I would say that people have told him. Don't say
that shit.
Yeah. So you could tell he's like thinks everything through is well thought out. He's not like where like you get some guys who are so entertaining in that space, man. They're so good.
I love when they have the comedians on there.
Oh my God. Like they had Keegan Michael Key yesterday during that shit, and I thought he was funny. But when they had
Adam
Vinatieri, he was an odd, interesting dude. I don't remember him being like that, but it's cool stories because obviously Peyton played with him, and then he had cool stories about Belichick, about Brady, about Peyton, about so it's like a guy who's been around. Like even Pat McAfee, who has a massive, following now and a big podcast and all that stuff. So like he had some cool stories. He was interesting to listen to.
That's good.
And Keegan Michael Key was, but like Joe Burrow was just kind of like you go, oh okay, he was very Tom Brady-esque, 15 years ago. With Tom Brady, 10, 15 years ago would be like, oh, we're on to New England or on to the Jets now. Like the very Belichickian thing, like where it was like, we're not talking about that. We're on, we're playing the Jets next week. It was just like you couldn't get anything out of him. It wasn't. I like Brady now. Brady be talking shit. Even Aaron Rodgers, man, for as disconnected and as like Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys where you go read the fucking room, bro. Like he just doesn't get it. I feel like at least he tells you. Like I feel like the answers are him. They're not media trained because sometimes they're so bad where you're like, bro, are you this self-absorbed? Like, but at least you go, I'm getting you. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
I'm getting. You're an asshole. You're dry. You're condescending. You're thing, but I'm getting you. I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought Joe Burrow. I was looking for like the Joe Cool persona.
Yeah, same. I can see that.
And I didn't get that yesterday
because I like him, and half of the reason I like him is his swagger.
Yep.
Like he talks shit. I like his like he goes and I don't know, man. That and the humbleness that comes with him. Like I rewatched his Heisman speech the other day. And I forgot how good that was, man, and like how he.
Yeah, I missed that.
Oh man, he like. One of the things that stuck with me, man, was how emotional he got talking about Orgeron, editor, the head coach,
yeah,
and he was
yeah.
just like, man, I hadn't played in 3 years, man, and you gave me the keys to like one of the greatest football programs of all time, like LSU. And then he even pleads with LSU to go, you guys don't give him a lifetime contract, you're stupid. And Orgeron gets fired like a year later or whatever it is. But
and then Orgeron tells that story where he's like, they came in there and they told me, you got $17 million left in your contract, but we don't want you anymore. And he's like, y'all still gonna pay me my $17 million? Where's the door?
Y'all can keep my shit. I'll buy a new one. Ed, you left your kid in the office. You can have him. I'll make you him. I got more kids where that came from. Give me the crawfish. He's like, bro, that guy, man. Yeah, so yeah, I would have expected that too, man. I was disappointed that you said Burrow wasn't as entertaining. I felt like oh, you're that media trained, Burrow,
bro.
now. You're the franchise
you're
now.
Yep.
You're trained. I'm like, okay, like I go,
good for him.
I get it. Yeah, I go, good for you, but yeah, it's just not entertaining.
Yep.
Oh man.
All right, man. I know we going
Bro,
over
we're
on time.
hour 20 in this bitch.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
we thought
shit.
we weren't going to be that long,
Fuck,
man.
man.
What did we even get to? We touched on 2 things.
All right, fuck it, man. Let's wrap it up. Tell them where they can find us.
Woo! Listen, if you are not already following us at the Carbon Football Podcast on IG, the Carbon Football Podcast on IG on YouTube, at Carbon FP at Carbon FP Pod on Twitter, and then everywhere where you like to listen to your music and your podcast, so Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, GeoSavin, Ghana, Amazon Music. Yo, if we're on your Spotify like year in review in the top, like share it with us. That'd be dope. I know some people have already showed me that we're in their top listening to for the year.
Oh, that's dope.
Their top 3, top 5, top whatever. I mean, the fact that we even made the list is crazy to me. The fact that you guys even spend a minute listening to us is crazy to me. I don't like listening to me for a minute, so it's wild. So we really do appreciate you guys, man. This is wild. Yeah. And anytime anybody, I'll get people all the time who go like, man, I listened this week, man. That was a good episode, and they'll name something that they heard or whatever, man. It still trips me out. It's just cool, man, that you guys would take your I know how selective I am about what I listen to as pod and what I consume because I only have so much time.
Yep.
And so the fact that anybody would choose to listen to us is awesome. It's so cool, man. So thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, we appreciate you guys, and Juan said it the best. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.